Malaikottai Vaalivan. Where do we even start? Lijo Jose Pellissery's latest offering is such a blizzard of images, colors and themes that you have a hard time getting past the awe and then into the movie. Woven around the fable of a wandering warrior who moves from place to place in search of a deserving combat, Malaikottai Vaalivan is so much more than what meets the eye. The fable and the characters might just be an excuse, but what Lijo primarily does in this film is have fun with the medium, juxtaposing concepts of stage and screen, nodding at genres and cinema lineages, marking the metamorphosis of art of entertainment, and asking philosophical questions on the way. And yet, this is a film that fetched aggressive criticism from the Malayali audience, and perhaps we understand why. We are much late, but some of you wanted us to talk about this film, and here we are to discuss Malaikottai Vaalivan, that we consider the most outrageous attempt of filmmaking in India in a very long time. From the very first frame of the film, Lijo teases with the medium. We watch two donkeys going in circles to lend motion to a machine. We watch them through frames within frames, the clay doors of the household they belong to, and the wide-angle shot immediately reminds us of a stage experience with a drama wooden wheel. This bullock cart with Vaaliban and his companions will slowly walk inside these frames, taking us to a bewildering world. Across the length of the film, Lijo keeps on going back to these wide-angle shots that look at the vast horizon, creating virtual distance between the characters and the audience, like that in a stage drama. Many of the set pieces and the scenes also give this feeling of watching a stage play where you see the central character in motion while others stay still to put focus at the center, like this majestic scene here. So you see, Vaalivan plays more like a performance, like an opera which is captured for the screen as against, say, an Attam, which is about characters from stage but put into a cinematic screenplay and captured through close-ups and the thickness of its plot. Attam 2 is a fascinating experience which we plan to talk about sometime soon. But what we feel is that the average Malayali audience might be more comfortable with such a plot-driven, closely knit approach with characters and stories more relatable close home than such a performative, exaggerated character-driven episodic film that Malaikottai Vaalivan is. And perhaps that is where most of the backlash on the film originated. This contrast of stage and cinema is not the only way Lijo comments on our ways of visual entertainment. Consider the different forms of visual performances on display that kind of plots the progress of the entertainment industry. There's a gladiator-like combat to start with, followed by a Nautanki, as in the Lavani dance of Sonali Kulkarni's Rangarani. We then come to the circus-like tent where Vaaliban takes down Mangod Mallan, and then follows the episode at the fort with the caricaturist Portuguese slave trader villain couple, an episode that had tips at the 80s and 90s Hindi masala movies, once mostly bereft of logic but fun for the moment. From Sholay to Shan, there's references all around. A Shakespeare-like tragedy unfolds next as Vaaliban faces the most difficult crisis of his life, and then finally we also have glimpses of VFX-enabled superhero flavor as Lijo prepares us for the next installment. If you pay attention, you can see how Lijo carves the journey of visual entertainment that has changed forms for us and reached where it is today. From Nautanki to circus, from old-school masala movies to today's CGI-heavy entertainment style. Cinematographer Madhu Neelkandan enables Lijo to create this space of his opera as composer Prashant Pillai's sound design heightens the performative approach of the film. Unlike modern-day movies, the soundscape is not surround. It is more like stereo sound projected from the front of the screen like we have in a stage play. The psychedelic music comprises of whistles like in the westerns harmonica, cymbal, or even pungi or the bean as used by the snake charmers. And there lies the beauty of the film, as it brings many worlds together without ever letting go of its Indian origins. The references to cinema are also plenty. We mentioned about the nods to Hindi masala movies, and there is so much more. From Japanese samurai-styled actions to the western-like setup and musical set pieces, Malaikottai Vaalivan reminds of Akira Kurosawa and Clint Eastwood at the same time. And then Lijo also brings timelines together as the craft delves into art. The form merges into the basic theme of the film. You must have loved the diffuse shots of the slaves coming out of the prison. It plays with the idea of time as you feel you're watching generations of bonded labor finally breaking free. And this is what works across the film, and not only in this episode of Ambatur Malaikottai. In Adivaritur, we see a reigning champion warrior who has won many fights till now but will fall today to Vaaliban's strength. His pride will be shattered, inscriptions of his records will be thrown away. In Mangor, years of foul play and domination by a powerful family will be brought down and justice will be finally served. And in Tiruchenturu festival, misunderstandings arise and tragedy befalls, like it has happened so many times in the past, be in Shakespeare's Othello or the fable that Thenamma mentions to Rangarani to invoke doubts and jealousy. It is these universal themes that keep on coming in the film, as Vaaliban, our hero, strives to retain order and justice, while negative forces keep on coming back and originate in new forms. The cycle of the world, that the Maya of life as we have known from our epics, where none is spared for the deeds they have done. And isn't it what the very first frames indicate? The two donkeys going round, doing the same things over and over as we have done through generations of human life. Isn't Vaaliban himself that donkey, moving from place to place, from one combat to the other, just another celestial lever to restore balance, initiate new beginnings, and write a few endings? A character in the stage called life, as universe keeps on writing new twists in its script. Superstar Mohanlal is outstanding as the mighty Vaaliban, perhaps his most remarkable and demanding performance in the last decade. There's this calmness in his eyes and temperament which fits the stature and idea of Vaaliban so well, lending heart to Lijo's vision. The exaggerated approach would have hardly worked had it not been Lalaton carrying the cross, and there's a reason that this looks such staged and exaggerated, as the plan is to reflect at a cosmic level and not zoom into a single plot. Perhaps that is why the wide-angle shots. Perhaps the film could have worked better if the emotional quotient was stronger, or maybe once we watch the film in full, as the second installment arrives, and we hope it does. This might not be the most exhilarating film that Lijo has given us in his rich filmography, but it has its own merits and the audacity of creating opera on the screen. The point is not just about the story, the characters, or the staging, but how the entire production comes together as a holistic, extravagant sensation that only Lijo Jose Pellissery could conceive. That is all from us today. Thank you for watching.